Okay, this is my trusty little recorder, and it looks like it's working this morning, so that's good. I'm Susan West. I'm here in Buxton with Barbara Williams. It's July 9th, 2015. And to get started, Barbara, can you tell me where you were born, when you were born?
I was born here in Buxton.
Okay.
On the back road of my grandmother's house in 1936.
Okay. Did a doctor deliver you, or?
Mother had, she wasn't a doctor, but like a midwife or something.
Okay.
And she delivered me.
Do you know the midwife's name?
No, but come to think of it, it wasn't a midwife, it was a doctor, Dr. Fobb.
Oh, okay.
That's who it was.
Okay, and I think he was here with
in the Navy.
Okay. I remember hearing about him. And,
Frank Fobb's father.
Okay. And that was your grandmother's house on the back road here in Buxton?
It's no longer there, but the brick house, it's on the back road, but it's been sold now, so it's not my cousin's house. She bought my grandmother's house, but it's been sold now to somebody else.
Okay.
But it's the brick house.
Okay. So, what was your grandmother's name?
Loney Barnett.
Loney. I've never heard that name before.
Lonie.
Okay. And her husband's name?
Lauren Barnett.
Okay. And do you remember them?
Oh, yes. I don't remember my grandfather so much. I know we came from New Jersey down here to the funeral, but we didn't live here at that time, so I didn't know him a whole lot.
Okay. Do you know what type of work he did?
He had been in the life-saving station, and he had a garden and all of that after he got out.
Okay. And do you remember that grandmother pretty well?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
because she lived a long time after he passed.
Okay.
And we had moved home here then.
Well, I guess, tell me how you got to New Jersey. You were born here in Buxton.
And my father was stationed in New Jersey. So Mother came home, I call Buxton home, came home to have me delivered at her mother's house.
Okay.
And then as soon as I was born, she and me, the baby, went back to New Jersey.
Okay. What was your dad's name?
Jarvis Barnett.
Okay. So.
My mother was Edna Barnett.
Okay. And the grandparents on the back road were your dad's or your mom's parents?
My mother's.
Your mother's. Okay. Where did your dad's parents live? Do you know?
Yes, they lived what we call up the road.
Okay.
And they lived in where Fox Surf Shop is now. That was their property. And they had a very nice 2-story house there. And then they passed. It was left to my uncle, and he had the house burned down and sold it to Fox. No, he sold it to somebody else. I didn't know that. And then they sold it to Fox.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember your father's parents then?
Yes.
You do?
Uh-huh.
Do you know what his dad did?
Granddaddy Walter was also in the life-saving station, and he was on the Diamond lightship that was torpedoed by the Germans, and they they rowed ashore, and they was all saved off of that boat.
Oh my goodness. Oh
And
my goodness.
I have a lot of articles on him because of that.
So, this was World War One.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how many men were on that?
I think there was probably maybe 10 or 12. That's a guess.
And none were lost.
None was lost.
Amazing.
They all got ashore.
Amazing. Do you know if they were other men from here who were...
Oh, yeah, there was one from here
Okay.
that was stationed.
Okay. So, you said that those grandparents lived up the road,
There were foxes.
and the other grandparents were on the back road?
And that was, they were called Barnetts.
Okay.
My mother's people was called Barnetts, but they wasn't related.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And then Mother had 3 sisters. There was 3 sisters, Mother, Aunt Alma, and Aunt Arbella, that married 3 brothers up here.
Oh my goodness gracious. So, and what was your mother's first name?
Edna.
Edna. Okay. Wow. That is something. So, how far up did Buxton go? Was that where Foxy is, where your grandparents? Did people live closer to the beach back then? Were there
Yes, there's there were that place that's closed up now. That's for lease.
right there at the entrance
Um,
to the lighthouse?
no, let's see. Yeah, maybe it is there to the lighthouse. It's for lease now,
Uh-huh.
and it's closed up.
That used to be Finnegan's? That
Yeah.
building?
Yeah, Finnegan's and Bert Dixon's.
Yes. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, they was about the last house because we didn't have the motels then.
Okay.
And Bert Dixon's mother and father lived there. They had a little shop, ice cream, and they'd let us dance in there.
Oh, okay.
What was the name of that? I can't even
great.
think. Bertie Dixon's, that's all I know. I guess they didn't name them then.
And that was one of the places that young people went?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bertie and Eva Dixon's.
Okay. So, when you and your mom went back to New Jersey where your dad was stationed, how long did you live up there?
We lived in New Jersey until I was 11,
Okay.
which
What-
was 1947.
What part of New Jersey was it?
Well, they move them around. We was in Avon by the Sea, and we was in Seaside Park the longest. That was where we started school.
Okay.
And Point Pleasant with my aunt and uncle one time. And our whole family, that's the way it was. Our whole family would move in with another family.
That's nice.
And I guess that was about all. But But Seaside Park, New Jersey is where we live mostly.
And when you were 11 and came back, was he retired then?
No, he got stationed out of New Jersey to Maine.
Oh.
And so they put him on a lighthouse. So we couldn't go. And so they decided to move Mother and us two girls home so they could build a house, have a house built.
Okay.
So we lived with my grandmother Loney until the house was built.
And where was that house?
Over here on the back road.
Okay. Is it still there?
No, it was sold. And then my cousin and her husband built a brick home there.
Okay.
And the brick home is still there.
Okay. That's the one that you were telling me about earlier. And you had come back here as a real young child through the years, but when you moved back, was it a lot different than what you were used to in New Jersey?
Very different.
What was...
In New Jersey, well, we did start school in New Jersey, but everything was nice. It was a nice brick building, large brick building. You didn't know where the heat or the coolness came from because it was something you didn't see in one of the classrooms.
Right.
And we moved down here, and every classroom had a pot belly stove, coal stove, which the boys kept filled up with coal so it would run the teacher out. And I wasn't used to none of that.
I'm sure. So, where was the school here?
Down Light Plant Road, all the way down to the end, where it's the State Department.
Oh, it was back
has
there.
Their office.
I didn't know that.
That long building there was our school. One side was elementary and 8th grade. And then in between there was I lost my thoughts. In between it was an auditorium.
Okay.
And then on this side was the high school.
Okay. Did you have favorite subjects or favorite teachers there?
No, not really. Well, Miss Orman was my favorite teacher when I first moved here.
Orman
Fuller.
Okay. And what did she teach? A grade or a subject?
No, everything.
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 Okay.
So she told Mother, she said, Edna, see, I was born October 24th. Okay, I had missed the deadline when I started school. So that made me not with my age group.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, Edna, Barbara has already had what we're having now. She said, and I would like for you to think this over about putting her up a grade where she'll be level with her own age group and has already had the work. So they agreed for her to do that, and but it was still the same, like potbelly stove.
Uh-huh. Was it, do you have any idea how many, do you remember your class size, how many kids were in?
Probably, we graduated, I think, with 14, so it was probably 10 until they consolidated the schools.
Okay. And did they do that while you were going to school?
Yes. So they consolidated the villages all to come here.
To that same building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was that a big change?
Oh, yes. We had the people from Avon. We had the people from Frisco and Hatteras. Now, let's see. Later on, I think the Rodanthiers started coming.
Okay. So your school population grew quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
But altogether, we had no more classes for them. You know, so we were still, with everything combined,
Okay.
still in the same rooms.
What year did that take place?
Um,
Or what grade were you in at that time?
I was in, let me think, 6th grade, I think.
Up to that time, did you know the kids from Avon or Hatteras? Did you go to other villages very often?
Uh-uh.
No.
No, not until we got the highway.
Uh-huh. Do you remember going to Hatteras as a little kid?
No.
No. Or Avon either?
Mm-mm.
No. So you hung with the kids right here in Buxton.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Back then, none of the teenagers or kids had a car.
Mm-hmm.
It was a one-car family thing.
Right.
So we didn't get very far.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot to be said for that. How did you meet Johnny? Did he live here?
He lived here. He first lived in Avon, and after the '44 storm, he moved to Buxton.
Okay.
So he wasn't in school when I was. He was 4 years older. So I met him after he was a sailor stationed down here.
Oh,
But he was from here.
okay.
And that's how I met him. He was in the
Navy?
Coast Guard.
In the Coast Guard. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So he went into the Coast Guard, I guess, when he finished school here.
Uh-huh.
But you didn't know him really at that time.
No.
Not until.
Not until later when I got older.
Uh-huh. And do you remember how you met or how you started dating?
A little bit. We started dating, I don't remember how old I was, but all of us girls would hitch a ride with somebody. Well, Johnny had a car.
Oh.
So we was all wanting to way home if we'd been to Tandy's.
Okay.
So he would take us home. And I was the last one to get dropped off, and that was our first date.
Okay. And Tandy's was in Frisco.
Yeah, it's a quarter deck now.
Yeah. Why did you go there? What did you do there?
It was a dance hall, and they sold beer. We didn't drink it or couldn't. But it was the only place of recreation at that time for us to go to. And Tandy was a very nice man, and our family never said anything about us, them not wanting us to go. We had a curfew that we had to be home, and but they'd let us go to Tandy's. Everybody gathered to Tandy's.
Okay.
And there was a jukebox there.
Okay. And do you remember what kind of music played, or with the popular songs, or what you liked to dance to?
Well, I don't remember the songs. There was a lot of jitterbugging. Also, there was a beacon at Hatteras, but I never was allowed to go to the beacon. That was a rough place.
Okay. But your parents and other parents were okay with the
Okay
kids
with-
going to Tandy's, even though they sold beer, they didn't worry about
that those that drank the beer sit up to the bar, and we was in the seats,
Okay. Okay. So,
and there was never nothing going wrong there.
and was that the same building that is,
Same building.
oh my goodness, isn't that something?
Bathrooms are the same place.
Isn't that amazing? So, after the 44 storm, Johnny's family moved here? His parents?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
See, I was in New Jersey at that time.
Okay. That was the bad one.
Yeah. Avon, their houses washed to the ocean, and everybody in Avon just about lost everything they had.
And when you met Johnny, were his parents still living?
Yes.
Do you remember them and what kind of work his
yes.
dad did?
His dad was retired Coast Guard, and then he liked to fish.
Okay. So, I guess
Johnny
Johnny
got
comes
it
by
from his
that.
father.
Okay. So, when did you and Johnny get married, and where did you get married?
We got married in Elizabeth City. Now, let's see, who was that preacher's name? I can't think of his name. Anyway, we got married in Elizabeth City, and the preacher was supposed to marry us in the church. But when we got there, he was sick, and he had to marry us in his house.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And let's see what.
Did you
year was that?
have family members with you, or?
My sister and Johnny's sister was with us.
Okay. Okay. And, did you go on a honeymoon?
No,
Oh.
didn't get to go on a honeymoon.
And so you got married. Where did you live then?
Well, we had to move down to his mother's house
Okay.
with him.
Oh.
And then my mother and daddy bought us a brand new small trailer and put it between the two roads where Jarvis has his gas station.
Okay. Okay.
And so then we had a place of our own for a long time.
And how long did Johnny stay in the Coast Guard after you were married?
20 years.
And did you travel with him, living in different places?
Every place that he was transferred to was isolated duty where I couldn't go.
Oh, what does that mean?
That means like he was on a ship at the West Wind, that fixture up there. And that went to the South Pole. And it was a year thing.
Okay.
He couldn't come home. He had to stay on that ship. And then it was supposed to be around the world, then go to the North Pole.
Wow.
But he was on that 6 months, so I couldn't move to Baltimore with him not there. And then and he went to all of the countries, New Zealand, Australia.
Oh my
He,
goodness.
he went across the equator twice. Hawaii, Fiji, Panama Canal. So that ship took him all over.
So you were pretty much here,
Here.
holding down the fort with the
Uh-huh.
kids, but you had family and support around.
Yeah, my mother and father lived across the street.
Uh-huh.
And then he got transferred down here after
Oh.
being on the ship. And then they transferred him again. And where was it? Alaska. He went to Alaska for a year, isolated duty on a rock with a lighthouse
Oh my goodness.
called Five Fingers.
Oh my goodness.
So he was there for a year, couldn't get off. I couldn't go. So I didn't get very far.
Mm-hmm. What year did he retire from the Coast Guard?
1979.
Okay. And then, did he start fishing then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He really fished before he retired.
Oh.
Evenings that he was off.
Okay. And net fishing,
Yeah.
gill nets? Uh-huh.
And beach fishing.
Okay.
You probably remember that.
Yes.
He did a lot of beach fishing.
Okay. And he still fishes.
He still fishes and crabs.
And how old is Johnny?
He'll be 83 in December.
Does he fish and crab alone?
Yes.
Do you worry about him?
Yes. Because he doesn't stop for the wind blowing a little bit. He goes.
Do you ever express your worries and concerns to him?
Oh, yeah. He went out this winter when we had that real cold spell. And he went out that night. And he got a little confused over the time. He looked at the clock. He thought it was 6 o'clock and it was 1 o'clock. So he got ready and went out to fish like he normally would do. And he just walked in.
Hey, Johnny.
Hi, how are
We're
you?
fine. We're talking about you.
Oh, that's okay. As long as it's good.
You know it's good.
And he got out in the sound just a little bit and wasn't feeling too stable, like dizzy or something. And so he turned around and came back in. And when he did, he got out of the boat. He fell in the water to the edge of the water. And I think his sugar dropped. He's diabetic.
Okay.
And he fell in the edge of the water, like his body was on the ground, but his knees down was in the freezing water.
Oh my goodness.
And he laid there for, I think, 3 hours because he couldn't get up. His sugar had dropped and he didn't have the strength to pull himself up. And he started squirming around trying to get to the truck to maybe pull himself up. In the meantime, he had lost his cell phone, a shoe, which he found that all later when his grandson went down there and got it. And he got to the truck and he couldn't get up to the door knob. He kept climbing and climbing, and finally he got to it. And then when he got in the truck, sitting up, he came on home. Well, he got home out here in the backyard to come in the house, and he stumbled over a wire cage that he had over a small orange tree he was trying to grow.
Okay.
And when he fell on the cement walkway, busted his head open all up in here, and so he started hollering for me. Well, this was, let's see, he was gone about 3 or 4 hours. I don't know what time it was, but anyway. And I heard him hollering, so I went out the back door and he was laying out there on the ground, blood all over his head. And so I came in and called my oldest son, Johnny Jr., because Jarvis has been so sick. I didn't want him to pull on him. Horsing up, I got to get me some water. And so Ben called 911 right away. And they came and took him off to the hospital, stitched him up.
But he's okay now.
So
Worry
he
you to
laid
death.
in that ice water, wet.
I can't imagine, because that was brutally cold weather
Yes.
we had.
He
Brutally.
didn't even need to go out.
No. No. But they do that, don't they? Talking about accidents, when you were a child, if you got hurt or you were running a fever or something, who took care of you? Was there a doctor here?
Oh, down here?
Yeah.
Yes, there was a pharmacy mate with the Navy.
Okay.
The Navy had moved in then. Before that, the CBs came. And
What is a CB?
it's service fellas that does construction work.
Okay.
They set up tents and all for them to live in while they're building the Navy base.
Okay. And the Navy base, where was that? Was that...
That was on that side of the lighthouse. And I don't know how to tell you, but it was a straight line of buildings that way and buildings this way.
Okay.
And they had a gas station, they had an exchange, which I worked in, they had a commissary, the pharmacy.
Was it a large facility?
Well, it had a lot of separate buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side was the administration offices.
And was there...
They had a movie theater.
Oh, they did.
They had a bowling alley. See, they do that for their servicemen.
If you lived here in Buxton and you didn't have a father or husband in the Navy, could you still use some of their facilities? You could.
Oh yes, 'cause
You could go to the...
You had a military card where you were allowed to go to all
like the movies and
stuff like that.
And was there a Coast Guard station here too?
Oh yes, the Park Service office was the Coast Guard station in Buxton.
Oh.
And then winding down that road by the Park Service at that time was Coast Guard housing.
Okay. And was the Coast Guard station, do you think there were more people stationed there than at the Army, or was...
Probably not of the other, we didn't have Army and all down here, just the Coast Guard. But they had right many stationed each station.
Okay.
They had a station up in Little Kinnikee, one to Buxton. Years and years ago, which I don't remember, they had one outside of Frisco, and they had one in Hatteras.
Okay.
That many stations.
So, in case of accidents and all, you could get medical care if it's something like your mom was...
Out to the pharmacy, out to
Okay.
the medical building.
Okay. And did you ever remember having to go there?
No.
No. Okay. church. Where did you go to church?
We went to church to the Assembly of God
And
next
where
to
was
the
that?
post office. Now, the first church was on the back road where their building is, that building.
And that was the Assembly of God Church?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That was the first church.
And then, do you have any idea why they moved?
I don't. I think somebody gave them the land, and they wanted to build that one on the back road. It was very old and run down.
So you still go to that church, right?
Yeah,
That's great.
still go to it.
That is fantastic.
Hanging on. I haven't been in quite a while because of being sick,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where I go.
Do you had mentioned one store here. Were there several stores in Buxton?
Yes, let's see. There was George Fuller and Edgar Hooper together. They had the big store across from Carol Dillon's places on the corner.
Okay.
In that store, they had a soda fountain, like a little bar where you could get milkshakes and Cokes and stuff. And anyway, we would gather there a lot too. He had seats for everybody up at the counter,
And did they sell regular groceries?
they had groceries. It was a grocery store. And then on one end of the grocery store was this fountain that we all went to. And then on the other end of that building was a dress shop called Orman's.
Okay.
It was Orman's dress shop. And she carried a lot of clothes in there. Bathing suits, dresses, shoes, a lot of things.
Did you do catalog shopping also?
They had catalogs, Sears, I remember. But we didn't hardly ever order out of it.
You didn't.
Uh-uh.
Did you go off the island often to go shopping?
We did. Mother and Daddy took us whenever we needed something special, like our prom dresses, or when we got married or something, to Norfolk.
Okay. And that must have been quite the excursion. I mean, it must have taken a really long time to get from here to Norfolk.
They had fixed the highway then.
Okay.
And still took a long time. Longer than now.
Because
We
there
had
wasn't a bridge, right?
No, it was ferry.
And do you remember that ferry? Was it a big ferry?
Not like what they have at
No.
Hatteras. It was a wooden ferry
Okay.
called Toby Tillett's wooden ferry.
Okay.
And I think he had to pay to go on it. I'm pretty sure he did.
So that must have been an all-day trip for sure
Oh,
to
yeah.
get from here to Norfolk.
Or we had folks living up there that worked at the, I don't know what you call it, but they all worked there together. Some kind of plant.
So you could stay with them overnight.
We always stayed with folks.
That's great. Where was the post office here in Buxton when you were?
When I was
child?
growing up, at that time it was, Miss Maud was the postmaster for many, many, many years. And it was the starting of that long building of George Fuller's and acres. It was a little building
Okay.
right on that corner.
And Miss Maud, what was her last name?
White.
White.
Maud White.
Okay. So you could go to that area and you could get your mail and you could get a milkshake and your
Address.
just about everything.
Yeah.
Like a little mini department store there.
Uh-huh. It was nice.
Okay. And do you remember how the mail got here? Did it?
The mail at that time, when I remember it, was not by boat. I think it came in a truck or
Okay.
something
I was wondering that.
for delivery. And Johnny, come help us out. Or help me out. I'm talking about Maud White's post office now. How did the mail get here?
Mailboat.
Mailboat at that time?
Yeah. At the start of her.
And do you know where the mailboat came in?
Yes, ma'am. It's about 30 yards from my boat. Down back of the post office.
Okay.
And the stop is still there, believe it or not. It's rusted off, but it's still there.
Oh my goodness, that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
So the boat came, well, I guess that little road is called Mail Landing
Mailboat
Road.
Landing. That's
Yeah,
where,
okay.
that's
is
where it
that-
got its name.
Okay. And,
Leon Jeanette named it.
okay.
Of course, he knew all about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't, I've seen that sign there for that road, and I guess in my mind I was thinking, well, maybe that's where the boat
That's
came
exactly
in.
where it came in.
Yeah, that's,
And if the mail was late, I remember this, even at night, Miss Maud would put that mail in everybody's boxes.
oh my goodness.
It wasn't closed at 4 o'clock
Isn't
for
that,
the rest of the night.
isn't that something? That's real dedication.
Yes, she was
She
good.
she knew. And was she from here?
Yes.
Okay.
Her father was from Bath.
Oh.
No, Orman's father, Mr. White, was from Bath.
Okay.
And Miss Maud, I don't know how she met him, but she married him.
She was a mailer, I think, to start with.
Yes, she was, Maud Miller.
Okay. So, do you eat a lot of seafood?
Yeah, whenever I can get it.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can't catch it.
Is that what she's implying?
Yeah.
He says, well, at $2 a pound, I'm taking it to market. So I have to go to the store and pay $8 for a little piece of steak.
Yeah. I know. I've been through that with my husband saying, bring it home, because at the grocery store, we're paying a lot more for ground beef than...
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite seafood that you like?
I guess it would be old drum and shrimp.
Okay. And the old drum, the traditional stew.
Stew, mostly stew.
Now, I've only had that once or twice. So, can you tell me how you make that?
Well, I boil some potatoes. I fry out crackling grease. And I put my drum, I cut it in pieces about like that. And put it in water, salt and pepper, boil it. And then we have it like that. That's the potatoes and the drum. The crackling grease we put over the drum when we fix our plates. And then we have green onion tops with it. And that's how I do it. But the next day, I fix all the fish that day. Then the next day, it's called pick up fish.
What does that mean?
Well, you take your leftover drum, the potatoes, and the crackling, and if you want to put the green onion in, then you can, or when you serve it. You put it all together, mash it up good, and heat it, and I have even used the small mixer, hand mixer, to get it all mashed up. And we eat it like that. Then if there's any left, I make crab cakes. I mean fish cakes.
Mm. Oh, boy. And traditionally a larger fish
Yeah,
made the best,
an old
right?
drum.
Uh-huh. Okay.
They're kind of tough sometimes, but
Uh-huh. And did you eat a lot of seafood growing up?
no, my father was not a fisherman, and they never bought fish. They didn't have markets then, did they?
What?
For fish.
Yeah, Hatteras had 3 or 4.
Well, I don't ever remember Daddy buying fish.
And they had one at Avon. Let me see who that was. Hatteras.
Fish markets.
I can't think right now. I'll tell you in a minute.
Being recorded.
Huh?
You got to think.
How about for Christmas? Did you have special celebration, special food? Did you decorate the house?
Well, we decorated the house. We had a big turkey dinner with all the trimmings. And then in my late years, all of my children and their wives would bring the side dishes and help me out.
That's nice.
But Johnny takes this furniture out and puts it in the den there. And he has tables that lines up from way back there all the way to here.
Oh my goodness.
And then does it go across?
6 foot. 6 foot.
Jeez.
No, 8 foot. 8 foot.
And then I put 2 tablecloths will cover it.
You have a house full, don't you?
Yeah.
That's nice.
2 tablecloths. And then that's 2 tables this way. You have it too. 6 foot or 8 foot, how many feet this way? Then on the other side you've got another set of tables.
Oh my goodness.
So that gives me room for my centerpiece and all the food. And we can all sit down at one time.
My goodness, that's a house full then. When you were growing up here, were there any tourists come to Buxton?
No.
So
They always said that the people up the beach said, oh, you don't want to go down there. They don't have nothing down there, no place to eat and all that. That's what they said.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Well, were there any restaurants here?
Down there where South Bank was a restaurant.
Okay.
Leona Jeanette owned it
Okay.
and run it herself with a regular cook stove, like my cook stove in the kitchen.
Okay.
Run a restaurant with it.
Amazing. Do you remember the name of that?
What was the name of that restaurant? I don't know if it had a name. I reckon it did.
And about what time period are we talking about?
Probably 1950.
Okay.
And then she started the Cape Pines Motel across the street from the restaurant.
She did.
She did. Her husband didn't help her with it.
Really?
Well, he didn't like it
Uh-huh.
when she started with the restaurant.
Isn't that interesting, though?
Uh-huh.
I wonder...
So it was in her name,
Okay.
Leona Jeanette.
I wonder how she ever got it in her mind to start a restaurant.
I don't know, but I waited on tables down there.
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you do other work outside the home through the years?
I worked at the Navy Base, to the commissary and the exchange. And I cleaned rooms at the Falcon Motel.
Okay.
And after I got married, I was an insurance agent for
You ran a
14 and a half years.
Okay.
And then when I was real young but married, I cooked at a snack shack. That was over there where Jarvis has his place. Out on the point, my uncle built a little building called Snack Shack across from Orange Blossom. That was his land.
Okay.
And so I worked in there.
And what did you do there? You were a cook or?
Yeah, I cooked, and then I always had somebody there to work the window.
Okay. And who came there?
Mostly the girls from around here would come, and the Navy young boys would meet their girlfriend on their lunch break, and most of them got married. That's how Gwen met her husband, Murphy.
Really? Okay.
And that's how Jennifer, what's her Scott? Her
Yeah.
husband's name?
Mike?
Mike Scott.
Okay.
That's how she met him, and they got married. And another girl, Loretta's daughter, Sherry, she met her boyfriend for Avon, and they got married, and they would kind of hang out. They couldn't come in. It was a drive-in.
Okay.
They did their order, and then we cooked it, and they picked it up.
Okay. And how long did you work there? Do you remember?
No, do you remember, Johnny? How long did I work there?
It was right a while, probably 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned Johnny growing an orange tree.
It was really, we found out later on, it was a tangerine tree. But we thought it was an orange tree because of the smell of the leaves.
Uh-huh.
We knew it was a citrus at that time, but we didn't know exactly
Will
why.
citrus grow here?
Oh, yeah, he's had so many tangerines off that tree. And this
Really?
year, he's had to cut it down because of the weather.
It froze.
Oh. Tangerines.
Tangerine, huge
I would
tree.
have never guessed.
Taller than this house, that tree was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I didn't realize you could grow citrus here.
Yeah, years ago, my grandmother, Looney, had the orange big tree. Have you heard of that?
No.
Orange tree. Well, she would throw her scraps out to her chickens. Then when she got sold, she couldn't do anything with this tree that was coming up in her chicken yard. And so she let it grow, and it was a huge orange tree. I don't know just where the picture is now, but anyway,
My
it
goodness.
was very tall, real tall. And I don't know how many oranges she got off of it that first year. And
Isn't
that was
that
really
something?
good. And Aycock Brown would come down and take pictures of us young teenagers. Well, there's me up there that he took.
I noticed that.
And
And so, who was Aycock Brown?
he was a photographer out of Matteo.
And
He took pictures of all of Dare County,
he did?
trying to promote and build up our island for tourists.
Okay.
And he'd send all these pictures in. Now, when he took that picture, it was freezing cold on January 2nd. And he put in the paper that I forgot how many degrees it was. Real warm. Trying to build this up.
Yeah, you're in your bathing suit there. And that's in January.
January 2nd.
You have a smile on your face and it looks like it would be warm and sunny and nice.
And when he took my sister's picture, you could see the goosebumps on her legs. Hers is big like that too.
Did he call you ahead of time or how? Did he
No,
just come
he would
down?
we didn't have a lot of phones back then.
Oh, you didn't?
And he would just come down, and he knew where we all lived, and all he had to do was call one and everybody else would come.
And about what year was that photograph taken?
Let's see, he signed it, and it was, what's the signature on it, John? You might have to get your glasses.
Can you see it? Maybe I can see it with my glasses.
That I believe. It's sort of a bit sideways.
Yeah, I can see his
I
name.
think it's 1952.
I think maybe you're right, but I can't really make it out either. I can see his name, but not the date too well. So,
I'm pretty sure it was 1952.
so did you get paid for that, or
No,
no? That wasn't a modeling career.
no.
Okay.
And then he would go over to Miss Maud's house, which was across the street from that store and all I was telling you about. He'd go to the store and buy the nicest grapefruits that they had. And then we would all go up and have our picture taken underneath the grapefruit tree. She had several trees. And we would get under that tree and hold that grapefruit up like that, like it had been picked in January.
Oh, that is funny. So grapefruit grew here too.
And then the state, I guess it was the state, started sending us kumquats to plant.
Did they do well here?
I think they would have, but I don't know if anybody has a kumquat tree.
How about fig trees?
Oh yeah, they grow good here.
Okay.
Just about everybody years back had a fig tree.
Okay.
They'd preserve them, the
Okay.
figs.
Persimmon trees?
Yes, there's persimmon trees.
And do people preserve those too?
I don't know of anybody that does. We had one in our yard across the street, and well, they were bitter. We didn't eat them.
Yeah, I
Rough
tried them
and
once and
Oh,
I
you
didn't
did?
care for them. Now, I have a brother who says he loves them, but,
Well, the one I tried probably wasn't ripe.
You've seen a lot of changes here in Buxton and on Hatteras Island. Do you think those changes have been for the good or for worse? Or
Well, both ways. I know it has given my children a chance to work. One in construction and one that does a little bit of everything. And it has given them work all of their working life. So I can't say that it was bad, but yet I do see bad.
Uh-huh.
But I see some good too, that it's give our local boys and girls jobs.
So they didn't have to go off or go
Join
in
in
the
the
Coast
service,
Guard or take a job in Baltimore.
Yeah.
They could make a living here, yeah.
Hmm. And then the school here offered, what do you call it, Johnny? Building,
Oh,
where they taught them
that's good.
building,
That's good.
construction.
I think that's about it. Is there anything else that you want to tell me?
Oh, let me think. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got pear trees, apple trees.
Mm.
Oh, he's got a pear tree
I
and
just
apple.
started with that. I think it was 16 on the pear tree, and 1 on the apple tree this year.
Oh my goodness. Now why is that, do you think?
I don't know. Now I had 581 tangerines year before last, before my tree died.
581?
Uh-huh.
Were they good?
Oh, they were
Yeah,
delicious.
very sweet.
Everybody loved it.
Isn't that something? I had no idea that citrus would grow here.
Well, we started that one from me and my youngest son. We were eating tangerine, and we would take the seed and put it in Barbara's mother's little flowers pots around,
Uh-huh.
and they came up, so we transplanted them. And I had 2 to live a long time. I was going down in one of the fields.
Isn't that something?
And that was in the house, the flower pot.
Yeah,
Okay, so
grew good.
until this winter with that
Yeah.
terribly cold weather
It
we
was
had.
my tangerine tree was that big around.
No way.
Yeah.
I've never
The
seen
tree.
it.
The tree.
Oh, okay.
Not the arm.
Okay.
Ah, you thought I said a tangerine?
Yes. I thought, I've never seen any that big. Well, thank you all. I appreciate your time today. This has been great. And let me shut this thing off.
In
I will get you a copy of this. It might